Yeah, I wanted to have a chat to you about this really common mistake that I see happening in heaps and heaps of businesses. Typical entrepreneur hates meeting, hates structures, gets the heebie-jeebies when we start talking about having team meetings. And I want to talk to you about why actually having team meetings is the secret sauce to your success and your freedom. So what I hear all the time, or what I see all the time, is a resistance to having a team meeting because the entrepreneur, the business owner, you feel trapped or don't like the thought of having a set time when you have to do something. I totally get it. But what I want you to start thinking about is by having a set time when you all get together as a team, giving people the opportunity to ask questions, to, put things on the table, to discuss any sort of roadblocks or things that they might come up. What that's actually going to do is actually going to give you freedom for the rest of the time, the rest of the week, to get on with the stuff that you should be doing, to get on with that value adding stuff, to get you in your zone of genius. Because if you don't have team meetings at a reasonably set repetitive time each week or each month, depending on what's right for you, what's going to happen is that you'll get interrupted. And maybe that's what you're feeling now. You're feeling like, oh gosh, I'm always getting these emails from the team, or I'm having to check Slack all the time, or I'm getting these text messages. And it feels interrupted, right? Like you're getting distracted by having to engage. So when you have a team working with you, when you have people who are trying to help you achieve your goals, you've got to do two things. You've got to give them the opportunity to ask questions and get the clarity they need to get on with their job. And then the second thing is you need to make sure that they know exactly what their job is and what you want them to do and what your idea of success is. So it's very difficult to do that if you're not having a face-to-face, open flowing conversation. So sometimes that meeting might take the form of an individual meeting. So if it's only relevant to one person, then just have one person there. And you need to have the time in that meeting for you to give instructions, for you to share your vision, for you to describe what done looks like, describe success. But then you also need to allow time for them to ask questions and get the clarity they need. Now, rarely does somebody get all the information that they need in that one meeting. So there usually has to be a circle back point, and maybe that's a couple of days later, or it might be a week later when they've, started the task or started the project and they've started to realize some things that they didn't know that they don't know. So then you get clarity around them, and then off they go, and that's how they can start achieving your goals and getting the outcomes you're after. Similarly, you'll need to get the whole team together because everyone needs to understand what each other is doing and how their role relates or holds back somebody else being able to do their role. And particularly if you're talking about things like a launch or a new product or a new program, by getting everybody around the table, so to speak, the remote table, so probably on a Zoom meeting, by getting everybody together, you're able to get out in the open, some of those roadblocks, some of those things that are in people's heads like, oh, that's not achievable, or to do that, we'd have to do this first, etc. And you want to really facilitate and encourage that conversation because often as entrepreneurs, we've just got the big vision. We know what we want to achieve. We know what we want to happen, but we need to listen to, some of the details and the robust conversations that come around it. Now, don't get me wrong. We don't want these meetings to go for 3, 4, 5 hours. We don't want you involved for that long, but we do want you involved long enough that we can talk about all the high concepts, like the high level stuff, and for them to get clarity on what success looks like. So what the exact outcome is that you're looking for, and then you can leave them to it. Maybe they then keep talking for another hour without you. And if more questions arise, you set, before you leave, another opportunity to get together if they've got questions or a way that those questions can be put to you. So you're starting to get a feel for what I'm talking about. You put a structure around the flow of communication to you, so then you're not getting disrupted all the time. So communication is key. You need to be able to communicate well with your team in a way that suits you at a time that suits you. And they need to be able to communicate with you in a way that also suits you and doesn't disrupt you. So when it comes to when you have team meetings or individual meetings, when's the right time? When it's right for you. So if you're a morning person and that's your hour of power, that's when you easily switch your brain into zone of genius, don't have it then. Make sure you're doing your value adding stuff then. Think about when your next best time is to talk to people. Maybe it's at lunch, maybe it's after lunch. Once you've had some food, you go and have a meeting for an hour and then you can get on with your day. So hopefully there's some tips in there for you. Having team meetings at a reasonably regular time in a structured, planned way is actually the key to your freedom. So putting a structure around how you communicate with people and how they communicate with you will stop you getting so disrupted throughout the day. Have a wonderful day, and I really hope that your team can turn into the force that you need them to be to achieve your dreams. Thanks, guys.